I'm never gonna stop laughing.
There, it's the book Harlots. We're back again. I'm AJ Norris.
I'm Eliza Mann.
And I'm Sage Spelling.
We are here talking about The Chosen. Look at this pumpkin thick book. Holy crap.
I like some big.
Like big books, and I cannot lie. Okay, Kor, leader of the Band of Bastards, convicted of treason against the Blind King, is facing a brutal interrogation and torturous death at the hands of the Black Dagger Brotherhood. Yet, after a life marked by cruelty and evil deeds, he accepts his soldier's fate. His sole regret, the loss of a sacred female who was never his, the chosen Layla. Layla alone knows the truth that will save Kor's life, but revealing his sacrifice and his hidden heritage will expose them both and destroy everything Layla holds dear. Even her role of mother to her precious young. Torn between love and loyalty, she must summon the courage to stand up against the only female she has ever the only family she has ever what in the heck? I'm sorry.
All right.
Torn between love and loyalty, she must summon the courage to stand up against the only family she has for the only man she will ever love. Yet, even if Kor is somehow granted a reprieve, he and Layla would have to confront a graver challenge, bridging the chasm that divides their worlds without paving the way for a future of even greater war, desolation, and death. As a dangerous old enemy returns to Codwell, and the identity of a new deity is revealed, nothing is certain or safe in the world of the Black Dagger Brotherhood, not even true love, or destinies that have long seemed set in stone. Ooh, pet the pretty, pet the pretty.
It is pretty.
It's a very pretty.
Okay, so
One of the better covers. I love the cover.
The beginning of this book starts with a flashback of Harm, which he reveals is the true bastard of this book. What do you think of his feelings about the females and his newborn son?
Girl, I wanted to fuck him up. I'm just gonna tell you the honest God truth. I hated him, like everything about him. Like even as she was in labor, his attitude was so reductive. And, like she was only as good as the baby she could bear him. And then when he threw that baby on the floor, honey, I just wanted to fuck him up. I don't even know. There's no redeeming quality to Harm. None whatsoever.
No. Poor Kor. Little baby. Not his fault.
Harm was so gross. He was so gross. Because like even while she was giving birth, and he was like talking about her vagina, and he's like, that thing is ugly now. I'm never gonna bang that anymore. I mean, just gross. You're just a gross individual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to have such a disregard for your own child is just despicable. Like, I can't even fathom that. Like, he's not a man. He's not a male of worth. He's just like, that's a defenseless little baby. It's not his fault yet. He was born with a cleft lip. I mean, God. I know. There's just too much in this book. Like, I just can't even with that. It's just
it was something else.
Horrible. So Quinn thinks that Layla has postpartum depression, and he confronts her out in this meadow that she had first met Kor in. Do you think she was talking about her feelings and stuff? And do you think that Quinn should have known that it wasn't depression or what was going on? Like, I mean, it wasn't really her feelings for her baby. I don't think it was just like a depression. Do you think that he should have caught on that she wasn't really talking about that she was talking about Kor?
So he probably would have needed to be able to see things other than his own selfishness in order to say, oh, maybe this isn't something that I've assigned this fully grown female. I don't think Quinn has the capacity to see outside himself at times. You know, I think he thinks his way is the only way. We've seen that time and time again. And I really believe that in this case, he was like, oh, well, I can fix everything and everything that I want, my will be done, you know? So I really believe that's what he was thinking, because that's what he always thinks. I'm gonna leave Quinn alone for a minute.
Because that's like the smallest thing that he did in this book, right? So like, I agree that he can't see past himself in order to see what was wrong with Layla. And I mean, I can't blame him in the point where he doesn't know about Core, or like she still had feelings, because she played it down so much that, you know, he wouldn't know that seriousness of her feelings. He wouldn't know that. I don't know if that makes sense, but whatever. But you know what I mean? Like he didn't know the extent of her feelings. So he didn't know that she would be pining over him still. So I'll give him that. But him going behind her back, going to Jane, even going behind Blade's back, you know, and talking about her mental health, was a little too much, right?
Yeah, I can see him asking for advice, but he didn't really ask for advice, right? He kind of just went in and said, listen, here's what I think. And Jane was like, kind of like, well, it could be, you know, and he was like, oh, then that's what it is, you know? So I don't even think, you know, I think he was trying to help originally, but I think he just, you know, he WebMD'd it and was like, oh,
Right.
that's what it is, you know, like, okay, Quinn, with the medical degree. So I really believe that he just wanted somebody to say, yes, that's what this is, and that's what he went with, you know?
Right.
So that's hard.
I agree. He's very narcissistic. So he's just like, okay, well, that's what it is. So it can't be anything else, because she couldn't possibly have anything else going on in her life.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing
well,
else
she had no
but
life
me and the
before
baby.
Quinn, right? So
Okay, so do you think when Layla, you know, let the cat out of the bag, or let the bastard out of the bag, do you think that he overreacted? I mean, he did tell her that he was gonna fucking kill her, and called her a fucking whore, and I just can't even with this man. But
well, now the I'll kill you part. You know, I mean, I think we get mad sometimes if you like, I could kill you, you know, but he was like, if you're lying to me, I'll kill you. Like, I feel like he was outside of his head, but I think there were other things that were at play in there, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. But I don't know that he would have necessarily killed her. I don't, but I know he was unreasonably mad. Yes, it was an overreaction. Way
the babies
the fuck
safe. You know, it's one thing if like the babies weren't safe, but they were. You know, they were never in danger. It's just his own bias towards Core too. I mean, not that that's not understandable. It's just he just it's like it's after the fact. You know, at that point.
Right. But listen. So I'll give him again. I'm gonna give him a little bit of leeway here.
Girl.
Well, no, just right. Just
heart.
at the meadow. No. Just at the meadow. Later, he gets it. It goes away. But right here at the meadow, his reaction, him being upset, him worried about his kids' safety, that part I get, because the bottom line is Core was the guy that beat the shit out of Quinn, beat the shit out of him. Remember that? And then he also almost killed the king. So I get it. I get why he was upset, because he was a traitor in their eyes. He was trying to kill the king, and he almost killed Quinn himself. So I give him that. But later, when we talk about the later things, yes, he was overreacted. But in that moment, it was anger, and I would have gave him that had he stayed, not went further.
But we talking about the whole thing, right? That whole moment after the meadow, when he chased her down, when he got to the door, beat the fucking door down, when he pulled his gun out in the house on Layla, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, well, Blake, okay, so we different about that a little bit, but and Blade was standing there, you know, and he didn't, what we agree on is that he didn't lower it when Blade was in the middle of them. That was an overreaction, even if, you know, like, it wasn't like Cora was there, like she didn't have him under her skirts or some shit, like, you know. I
agree. That's what I'm saying. I agree. At the Meadow, I understand. I can get, if his anger would have stayed there, then it was different. But his attack, like you said, knocking on that door, running upstairs, pulling out the gun, fucking dispensing the gun, completely. All his actions after that Meadow scene there was just no reason for that anger.
Well, in the Meadow, he said some shit though. Like, he said some shit that was really like debasing.
I mean, I'll give him. I'll excuse saying shit that when you're upset. Shit comes out of my mouth when I'm upset. Like,
well, yeah, but I ain't like
all the time.
I gave him "I'll kill you," but he didn't have to call her a fucking whore. Like, I'm like, dude, is that not
like the right?
Like, you a motherfucking whore from the gate, sir. Like, the only thing that calmed your hot little red Corvette down was the fact that you fell in fucking love, and I think you would have been a whore after that. Like, if he wasn't bonded, he would still be whoring around. Well, so don't do that, bruh.
But plus the fact that, you know, she didn't even have sex with Cora. Like, he was just assuming.
No.
It was all an assumption.
Well, he said you fucked him. He was like, you fucked him, and he wouldn't even, again, he wasn't even allowing anyone else's input in his assumptions. Right. And that is narcissistic as fuck. Like, I don't even know. It's not the Quinn I know in this book.
Okay. So speaking of the gun, do you think that it was Quinn's intention to fire the gun? And, you know, the only reason I think that it was his intention is because if you know anything about gun safety, one of the rules of handling a gun is that you do not put your finger on the trigger unless you intend to fire. And because the gun went off, even though Blade knocked it out of the way, if his finger had not been on the trigger, it never would have gone off. So I think that he was his intention. So what do you all think?
I think he had every intention to kill her. When she picked up the infants, he told her to drop them. I think he had every intention of shooting that girl, which is damn near unforgivable, because you don't get to just be like, I'm going to kill you. Like, that goes against the Brotherhood decree. Like, that's like, she didn't cause harm to anyone, you know. And I get that Cora has some, you know, some payments due because of his actions. Layla didn't have those, and that was so unfair of Quinn. Like, that was so unbelievably judgmental. Okay, go ahead, Sage. I'm gonna get off
I agree. I mean, I think that all his actions from that moment on were horrible. And yeah, I do believe he had intention to shoot, but I think he did. I think it was that seeing red, that rage, that's what made it there, because that's where he was. And he even copped to saying that he blacked out for a little bit, like he doesn't remember what he did.
Don't do that. You are a trained motherfucking warrior.
Trained soldier. You shouldn't do that.
You don't get that pass. Say I froze. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know what to do. I blacked out. That is a cop out from the gate. And if you gonna be in this fucking job, you need to control your goddamn emotions, Quinn. And I personally, instead of Tora being kicked out, I would have fucking kicked out Quinn again. Because he is such an asshole.
Yeah, because like Quinn's actions, he kept breaking rules, like from like every single
rule. He stayed
rule.
Breaking rules.
Yeah,
like always, forever.
Okay, we're kind of jumping around here a little
I'm
bit.
sorry.
It's okay. We gotta rein it back in a little bit.
I don't know. This whole thing gonna be off the fucking rails. Go ahead.
So as mad as Wrath was, because you know how it got like super cold in the room and stuff, you know, as mad as Wrath was about Quinn firing the gun, should he have been punished? He didn't seem to be punished.
Yes.
So.
That's literally what I just said. Dude should have been fucking put out. Like, at least put out. Like, at the very least. Like, I feel like you shot at an unarmed civilian vampire with babies in her arms. Like, what the fuck? Yes, you definitely should have had more than I'm pissed at you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. He should have had, I mean, I don't know, either kicked out or suspension or like time in a jail cell to cool his ass off. You know,
I mean,
something.
And, you know,
because
be
they didn't, they just let him walk out in chair. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I was already saying.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead. You're more fired up than I am. Go for it.
Well, I'm saying, I mean, not to rag on Wrath, because he had a lot of shit going on in that moment. Like, he had to figure out what was the truth and what was emotion. With Layla, he had to figure out what to do with her, because at that moment she was the immediate threat. Because what if, you know, Core and the Band of Bastards know where we live? So I think that's why nothing happened immediately. You know, I definitely wanted him to be like, you out, just you fucking out. But we know that Wrath isn't that impulsive. But yeah, he definitely should have been kicked out. But I can't blame Wrath for the way that he handled things, because I think he likes to collect a lot of information before he makes a change. So,
yeah,
you know, I think that's what it was.
I agree. There was so much going on, you know.
So
do you think Quinn was copping out by telling Blade that he didn't remember what he said? You know, because, you know, I mean, not to rehash the entire scene, but just briefly, you know, what he said was that he wanted that what was going on with Layla had nothing to do with him, and it was none of his goddamn business. But as Blade has basically been, you know, a second father to those young, so that was just it was just devastating for Blade to hear that. You know, was it a cop out? And do you think that Blade overreacted? Which I don't think Blade overreacted. He underreacted.
Say, you go ahead, because I cut you off 11 times.
Yeah.
You go first.
I do feel like Blade did not overreact, because I mean, first off, you like tried to shoot this lady, and I tried to stop you, and you like put that goddamn gun in my face. Then you told me that these kids are not mine, and this is none of my business. And then you want to be like, oh, I don't remember. No, I don't remember what I did. I don't know. Like, I just blacked out. It doesn't work like that. You know, it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I don't think you get, like, I mean, how many times have I done some bad shit and been like, you know what, I forgot, I don't know what happened, I blacked out, I don't know. Because, you know, words mean things, and you don't get to just say, I don't remember how I used them, that hurt you. If you didn't remember, Quinn, you can say, you know, a lot was happening, and I said some foul shit, and I'm so sorry. Like, that should have been how you come at it. And then you can say, what did I say, though? Like, I know I hurt you, but what did I say? And I don't think Quinn has that capacity. Like, at times, you know, I don't know what he's capable of. Dickhead. Me and Quinn broke up in this book. Well, we were never together. But I was mad as hell.
I know. It just was so. I just didn't know this book.
I mean, everything he was just doing was unnecessary. Like, just like, well, you'll get to it, so I'm gonna shut up. Keep going, because I was about to talk about things.
We could talk for hours about Quinn and his fuckery.
Right.
So when Core and Quinn fought in the tomb, do you think Core would have won if he wasn't bonded to Layla? Because, you know, Core, you know, Quinn said some things that just like really brought out Core's bonding. So it was, you know, do you think he would?
I do think he would have whooped his ass. I'm sorry. I mean, I think Core was kind of laying there like, woe is me. a little bit. But, you know, through his backstory, we've seen Core, like, you know, be a grown-ass man up when he was just a wee thing, and had no formal training. I think Quinn is trained, but he has nothing on the years of experience that Core has. And I do think that, you know, his bonding did certainly help him pick that big-ass machine up. Ventilator. I think it was a ventilator.
Yeah, I think it was a ventilator.
But I think it gave him that strength, but I don't think Quinn has the skill.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't, because he's gotten his ass beat by Core already. Like, this was the second ass beating by Core. Wasn't the first. So yeah, definitely I agree. He's not a match for somebody like Core. And yeah, the bonding set did help with, because he wasn't feeling good, you know. He was wake up, but that bonding is what gave him the juice to like really bring that shit home.
Right.
Core's not a little guy, so this is I kind of feel like he has, you know, a couple inches on Quinn. So
I think so. I think they said he was eye to eye with the king. You know, so I think he has a few inches on him, and he just got years and years of experience. And Quinn don't listen enough to learn. Like, I feel like he just is a doer. You know, he's all like, if there was like a jock in the vampire race, it would be Quinn.
you know, it's
right,
like,
because it's more no, it's not really skill. It's like brawn, right?
It's brawn. He's muscular, and he's trained, but not as trained, not as experienced.
Yeah, he's very emotionally immature. So I mean, it's just time and time again you see this. I mean, not that he doesn't have moments of heroism, he does, but he's just, I mean, Quinn in this book. Quinn.
I do think he's young though. Like, I know that he's young, and it is frustrating for us older, you know, folks.
I don't think he's old enough to be a father. He's definitely
well, you know, that don't mean you emotionally mature. You know, just because you can procreate don't mean you should procreate, honey. And you know, we know that him and Layla shouldn't have had these kids, because right at that moment, because they're very young. And I think Layla is more mature than Quinn naturally.
Yeah, she's probably like
she's
about
older, and I think she kind of, you know, has maternal instinct that just kicks in for her, that saves her a lot of times. I do think that she could have handled some things differently. But I do believe that they reacted much in the way of immature people in a lot of ways.
So after the fight, and Core locks Quinn in the cave, which was hilarious. He says some parting words to Quinn, just like his testament of his love for Layla, and it was so sad. And one of the things, you could just really see the change that he had gone through, and he was just like, I love Layla, I'm in love with her, and I may be escaping, I may have bested you now, but you murdered me. You've already murdered me, because I will never see her again, and as long as I live, I will be in pain. So it wasn't as I'm not paraphrasing, but it was just, he just said, like, you murdered me, you already won. Hope you fucker.
Well, I just wonder if Quinn even heard him, because Quinn didn't tell anybody that he, they kind of deduced he left the key, what does that mean? But he literally had poured his heart out to Quinn and was like, I don't have any war with you, I don't have any. Quinn was willfully ignorant to what Core said, and there's a lot of possibility there, but that would be more of the question. Core was so vulnerable in that moment with him, you don't even have enough empathy to see another binding male, what if that was happening to you and Blake? And Quinn a dick. I used that whole thing as an opportunity to call Quinn a dick again.
Well, and then he lied to Wrath, because Wrath asked him point blank, what did he say to you? First, why did he leave the key? I don't know. What did he say to you? Nothing. And that's a lie. He didn't tell him anything. He didn't tell him that he knew that he was bonded. He could smell the bonding scent on him. He didn't tell him anything. He was being a dick. Bottom line. Quinn the dick.
A liar. He's untrustworthy. Because if you scratch a lie, catch a thief. He is very untrustworthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just funny. So I loved that. It's just something I'm going to touch on. Just that I love that Wrath, you know, knocked Quinn out with one punch. He was just like, "Punk." It was hilarious.
Gotta love our king.
Well, I'm just glad it happened.
He's knocked
I love to see it.
Mhm.
I love to see it. I was like, "Ooh, knock his ass out again. Pick him up and knock him out again."
He needs another one.
Oh my God, I still want to get knocked out.
So switch back kind of we get Quinn. We get Core's backstory, and when Harm has another baby, a son was born, he basically didn't care, and not that he cared about Core anyway, but he released his mother from keeping tabs on him or whatever, and she comes in the stagecoach to relieve the nursemaid. So, well, I guess that's the question. Was that her in the stagecoach that came to relieve his nursemaid?
Oh yeah, that was her.
You knew that, yeah.
I mean, it had to be, right? Because who else could relieve the nursemaid? Like she was paying her based on Harm's order. So as soon as she didn't have to do that anymore, she like, let that little fucker die. Because ultimately he's an albatross on her neck, which is what Harm intended. So as soon as she could get rid of that, because she had clearly aspirations of grandeur, as soon as she could be rid of that, she was going to be rid of it. And if he happened to die in the process, that's what it was. So she just, that was her. And she came to make sure that her son had no way of living. I don't like her ass either.
Oh, she's a horrible person. Like when she was giving birth to Core, how she like suffocated him, like I will kill this boy right now if you don't vow to marry me. I'm gonna suffocate him between my legs if you do not vow to marry me. That's an evil ass bitch.
I get it. Evil. As I was reading that, I'm like, that don't work that way, do you? Like you probably not gonna be able to just close your legs real tight. And, like you're not gonna be able to.
Contractions will come no matter what.
Right. I mean,
they just come.
They have a way of getting out of there. You don't have
control over. It's like so overwhelming. There's I don't even know if it was even realistic because there's no fucking way. She'd be wailing. She wouldn't have enough coherent thoughts to be able to string that together. I know it's a story, but
she was truly stupid. You can't fix stupid. So, I'm putting that to pastor. So I'm not angry at her for treating her bad. I shouldn't say that. But she was a horrible person to begin with.
She was a horrible person for sure.
She was despicable. What do you think of the Shellens rallying behind Layla? I love that.
Love to see that too.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. I think I was most impressed with Beth, because Beth was like, "I'm gonna let your ass have it," and she told Wrath about it too. She's like, "You're not taking them babies. I don't know what the fuck else you gonna do, but it ain't that. This is not that."
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was awesome in the office with him when I think Vicious came in and he was like, can you leave us alone? She's like, no, I'm done. My work is done. You just make sure that Layla gets these babies.
Layla keeping them babies. I don't care. I'm out. What that dumbass
like, how I feel.
Right.
You're gonna do what I say, is what she said.
And Raph, of course, he holds the leash, so it's just kind of funny.
He was over it though. Poor Raph. He was just like, "What the fuck? I got guns going off in my house."
I felt bad for Raph here.
Beth ain't gonna give me none if I don't get them babies. Do them babies right. Raph was purely only concerned about his penis. He like, I I'm gonna do it. Fine.
I don't think. He needed to punch more people. I think in this book.
I feel like Raph got like the brunt of all this shit. Like he kept having to pop in the shit and fix it. Like nobody was doing the right thing. Poor Raph. He's like, all I want to do is sit at this powder puff desk and write these decrees with my solicitor and do my thing. You motherfuckers are making it hard. I think Raph needs like a full-on ass vacation. Like for real.
He does. He really does. They've like stressed the shit out of him.
Poor guy. Jesus.
What do you think of how Tor treated Autumn on Wellesley's birthday? Okay. You guys go first.
You go, Sage. Because I got words.
So I literally wrote down Tor is a motherfucker because why did you even bother being with this woman? Like, why even bother being with poor Autumn? And honestly, I'm mad at Autumn too because her ass was like, I totally understand. No. I mean, I understand that you're going to grieve. I do. You're going to continue to grieve. But that was overly dramatic. Like, you have such little love for her and all this love for Wellesley. That's not fair. Like, how is that, like, even fair to Autumn? And I'm just I'm mad at her and I feel mad for her.
Well, I didn't like, so Tor and me have a love, I want to whoop your ass relationship because it's so many times when he's like, he says, I love Autumn, and clearly he's bonded with her, right? I mean, because, he bonded with her. You can smell the scent. But I feel like in a lot of ways, his heart still belongs to another because even when Layla confronted him, the only thing that got a rise out of him was when she said, how would Wellesley react to what you're doing? And the way he reacted, he was like, I've never hit a female. And he wanted to hit her. Mm-hmm. Like, he don't get that reaction for Autumn. And I kind of want him to. I feel like a lot of times, like, he like, oh, you second best, you second wife. Like, what the fuck, Tor? Like, that. And then to top it all off, you don't even like make it a secret that you're not sleeping with me on her birthday. You told me and I'm supposed to accept it. And then, tomorrow we supposed to, he literally said, at midnight, I'm going to tear your ass up. First of fucking all, you ain't tearing up a motherfucking thing over here at midnight because you know what? You got the audacity to parade your motherfucking dead wife in my face all the goddamn time. I'm not having it. No, you ain't getting none with your bald-headed ass. You better go over there with your
That's what I want from her. That is exactly what I want from her. I want her to have that fine. And I want her to, but like, does she even feel it? Because we don't get her POV. So we don't even know if she's like thinking this in the back of her mind or not. But, she had a little bit of a spine in the beginning when she first started in the when we had their story. What book was that? Lover Revealed or whatever. She had a slight spine because she stood up to him. Huh?
Yeah, she did. I mean,
Lover Reborn. She had a little bit, but like, I feel like she's accepting this because it's okay, like, to her. And I just don't find how that's possibly okay. I just don't.
I'm very angry at Tor. Mm-hmm. I want him to fucking stop it.
I agree. I don't think that just because it's the anniversary of your first Shallon's death or birthday, it was her birthday, that it gives him the right to fucking lose his mind. I mean, come on. And poor Autumn, she's just accepting of it. And it's like, how could she's like second best it's not just on Wellesley's birthday. It's all the time. Like in The Beast, I think it was in The Beast or something when he was having issues and, something. Oh, yeah, I can't remember what it was, but it was
when Trez was mourning. Selena, and he like felt I remember this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then and Mary has to say, talk to your Shellon, talk to Autumn about this. Shut her out. He shuts her out. And it's like, oh, I love her, but he doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I hope we get more of the story and more of her point of view, and maybe
I bet we
it's
will.
going to come to a head at some point in this series.
I bet we will. I think, the thing about these stories is, everything usually gets its day. And we would have to, right? Like at some point, we have to get her being like, fuck you, Tor. And I'm out this bitch. Because, we get it with well, I can't go ahead, but yeah. So I would imagine we would have to eventually.
Yeah. Do you guys think, okay, I know I'm like just asking a question randomly, but do you guys see the similarities between Tor and Quinn?
Do you see the similarities between Harm and Quinn?
And
that
Harm
was
and
my
Quinn.
question.
Mm.
I feel like Quinn, Tor was having a moment. Quinn has a lifetime of moments. And I feel like that was like he's doomed to repeat the same mistakes. He's not as bad as Harm, but I feel like their personalities align. Because
they're both aristocratic families, and that I think sometimes that innate viewpoint like kind of shines through, like Corey, so
I don't put it on the aristocracy because we've seen like a lot of guys.
All of them are like that, but is the general consensus. It's not that all, like, Avalon's not like that, Paradise is not like that. We've seen that, but it's, I think, and I wonder how old Avalon is. I was kind of wondering, and maybe he's more of the younger generation too, because
I thought he was the same age as Wrath because his father served Wrath's father, and I thought they were like.
It was his grandfather. It was his grandfather that served him.
So I feel like he's
younger than you think. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know for sure, but he's not that old.
Yeah, and
I don't know why I picture this old, like a little old man.
Didn't Paradise's mother die on the birthing bed? Isn't that what?
Yeah, I thought she died. I don't know how we got on Avalon. I don't know how we got on Apple Bottom, but I roll with it. That's my friend. I like him a lot. Yeah, I don't have an HEA. But I feel like he does need an HEA. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, that would be awesome. Anyway, okay, so yeah.
One of the legacy books. I'm fine with that, but I'd like to see it.
I would love to see Avalon get a woman. What kind of woman would he have? What kind of Shellen? Okay, see, here we go.
Somebody down to earth, somebody like him,
I feel like he needs, I don't know. Okay, maybe that'll be the question we'll put in, like what Shellen, what Avalon Shellen would be like. Yep. That'll be next week.
Okay, so getting back to The Chosen.
Yes.
What do you think? So, what do you think V meant when he said to Layla, "Funny how curses come in all kinds of different flavors." True, my mom was creative like that. Was he really speaking truthfully, or was it part of the game, to pull the wool over on Layla's eyes and get her to track Core? And did he have a vision in that moment, or one previously that he was reacting to? I think it's kind of both, actually, honestly. So, but
I think that he meant he was talking about the spells that his mom put on spells. The consequences that some of the curses that some of his, like Rage has the beast. I had another one in my head and I can't remember. But she does things to that's her way to fix things, but it's always like more like a curse than it would be an actual like fixing. I think, and that's how he perceives the things that she does. Like he blames his hand on her, and like it's supposed to be like a blessing, but it's more like a curse to him. Things like that. I think is where.
I also think like he was saying that the curse, Layla's curse, is that she's in love with an enemy. So.
Yeah, I kind of think V was in his own head, like he was using things that he was feeling to get close to Layla. And I think he was being manipulative. I do believe that he believes that a lot of what his mother does is like a double-edged sword. So I think that's what he meant. but a lot of times, like, you know, I kind of feel like he was thinking in terms of like Jane, like him and Jane will never be apart. And at that moment, he's questioning his relationship with Jane. And here's Layla, who's in love with someone who, you know, obviously she can't be with. So, you know, I feel like he was kind of playing around with what he was feeling, and then, you know, using that as an advantage with Layla, who's a bit gullible.
Yeah, I think they were true feelings that he was using. Yeah. Because, you know, yeah, okay, I won't get into that. Never mind. I don't want to bring up that point. It's too hard to explain. So, okay. So, do we think that V had a vision? That
Oh, I left that part out. We left that part out.
Well, it was the next question, actually. So,
okay.
Do you have a vision about Layla?
You asked it, though.
Yeah, well, they're sort of related questions, though. So, it was like, did V have a vision about Layla and Core that prevented him from killing him? And, you know, what do we think of him saving Core? So, and the reaction in the aftermath, like his reaction, because, you know, he's so emotional, you know, and he was like,
V make me want to smoke again. I swear to God.
Right. Like, I really want to go get one.
I know. Like, V, I'm recovering over here. But, yeah, I think, I do think there was so much in there. I feel like he did get something from Core, because he was moments away from blowing his brains out. And he sent Layla away, and I think he was bound and determined to kill him. And something happened that prevented him from pulling the trigger. And V is not the type of guy to be exceedingly sentimental about things. But something happened to, you know, change. I'm surprised we kind of didn't see it. It was his perspective, you know what I mean? So, but, you know, I believe that something happened, and it prevented him from killing him. Don't know if it was a vision, because when V gets visions, sometimes they are paralyzing, you know? So I think he usually reacts to them. And we didn't see a reaction to that. What we did see him was smoking like a fucking chimney and being extremely disturbed. And so I don't know exactly what it was, but yes, it was definitely something. And the other question was what? I'm sorry. It was like a lot in that.
Do you mind
the aftermath
before I forget?
Oh, it was the aftermath. So listen, I think V was grappling with his fucking feelings. He was very touching, emotional in this book, kind of like, oh, no, Jane, I love you, but you know, like I don't know. V was going through something, and you know, we saw that all throughout this book. So I think it all ties back to his emotions.
Yeah, you know,
I agree. I think.
Okay.
It wouldn't be this time.
No, I was just gonna say, because I didn't want to forget this thought that I had, that I almost feel like he saved him because he knew what it was like to lose the person that you love, and he didn't want that for her, because he knew that it would just kill her, would kill Layla. So, you know, he didn't want that for her. So, yeah, I don't know. He does some funny things, and you know what the thing is that I always come back to in him is that, you know, you had, you know, the bloodletter, who was this really awful, malevolent person, and you have V, his son, who he's benevolent because he's got his mother in him, and he always does these benevolent things despite his emotions or his whatever, you know, his cognitive thinking about things. He still does these very benevolent things based on his emotions. So I just thought that's kind of,
yes, he's benevolent.
Yes, he's very benevolent. He is. He never lies, and you know what I mean. Like he tricked Layla, but it was like the same time, I think what he told her to manipulate her was the truth. So it's kind of, I don't know.
What you guys say? Oh shit! I'm not moderating. Sorry.
It's fine. Well, technically, my thought was what she just said, so it's. I was thinking that exact thing. That the reason why he saved him was because he was playing back how he lost Jane. So we can move on. Same thought.
It was, yeah, that was his thought when we did get some of that.
Yeah, he did think about the cocoa.
So when the wolves attacked Cor when he was 9 years old in the cabin, do you think the vision he had was about Layla? He visioned somebody that had at least similar looks to her. So, I mean, I think it was Layla, but that's.
I mean, I feel like it couldn't have been anybody else but Layla. But what I feel like, this is wild, but I watch Star Trek, so go with me. She was looking in those bowls. Do y'all remember she was looking back over his life? Is it possible that she kind of like leaked through those bowls at that time? Like it would have been like
that gives me chills.
Like, you know, I watch a lot of fucking Star Trek and crazy shit like that. So, I mean, it's not crazy, but I felt like that's where it came from. I do believe it was her, but I feel like she was looking back over his life, and we don't know what those bowls are capable of doing.
Right. That's interesting thought. I really like that idea.
I like it too. I should put it in a book. No.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, now that I think about that, maybe it was a premonition, like you're not going to die now, and then you're going to be in a similar situation, and she's going to save you. It could be so many different things, because she did come on to him when he was about to die, in the forest after. So.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
So like it could have been because wasn't those scenes kind of like back to back?
It could have been a premonition on Cor's part, you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like your thinking more, but that's what I was thinking it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were back to back, but I was thinking because, you know, she was so nosy.
She was nosy, but I was glad that she
was. And then the other thing, it could have been our friend Lassiter, like doing his job, you know, because he was going back in time with that Nirvana Detroit t-shirt on, you know, so what to stop him from like going and dousing her with a bit of dousing Cor with something to give him hope to hang on, you know.
So speaking of the visions, because this has happened like in times of like dire straits, like, you know, Quinn had a vision, Raph had a vision, Beth's had a vision. So it's like, do you think that that's the Scribe Virgin's way of answering prayers or helping people in ways that she couldn't normally do because of the balance of good and bad that she always has to portray? So I don't know. Do you think?
Possibly.
Yeah, it really could be. She's such a weird person to understand, you know, the way she does things. So it could very much be her visions.
Yeah, I would agree with that. As I drink this tea real fast, I would agree with that, because I don't think, you know, I don't think that she's wholly bad. She tries not to be, but I do think she uses whatever power she has to allow people to see things. Well, now that we know she's gone, you know, I think that's what she was doing.
Maybe she still will be. Because she did say she just said she wasn't going to be in charge. So we don't know what's going to happen. And we still don't know what that, because, you know, Raph still owes her a favor. So what the fuck is that going to be? So
I don't know.
I don't think I think we'll still see her a little bit from, you know, going forward. But so what do you think of Quinn's treatment of Beth and Cormia? You know, what do you think that Wrath and Fury would have said if they had seen or heard how he treated them?
They would beat his ass for the disrespect. Like, there is no doubt about it. Both of them are hotheads, so both of them would have beat his ass.
I agree. I don't know why he was so angry with them though. Like it was almost like he was like, none of this is your business. It's just me on this island. And you know, we know that's not how families work. And I was so surprised by the way he was treating them. He almost turned into his father in a way, you know, like you know, and that's the thing that he hates the most, right? So why be so cold to people who are just trying to help you?
Yeah. I think that at least, you know, Beth at least stood her ground. Like she was just like, okay, whatever. I'm not, you know, she talked back to him and she was a little stronger. But Cormia is just not that confrontational type of person. So, you know, he like led her out of the room, and it's like if Fury's seen the way that he touched his female, he would have gotten punched again.
Yeah, I think they would have whooped his ass, but I don't think he meant to hurt Cormia. I think you know, he kind of like grabbed her and was like, okay, girl, it's time to go.
No, he was gentle about it, but it's still touching her in a manner and being sarcastic with her, because he was being sarcastic, like, oh, okay, thank you, you know, like I just like, no way Fury would have been pissed. He would have been pissed.
Yeah, I don't know. Quinn just needed his ass whooped all up and down the page.
But every day of that page, every day.
Yeah, but I feel like he was more disrespectful to Beth than he was to Cormia. Because with Cormia, he was kind of like, yeah, he was condescending. He was kind of like, oh yeah, thanks, but get the fuck out, you know. So, you know, that was a thing. But with Beth, he was defiant. He pretty much was like, mind your own fucking business, and she the queen, you know, and you living in her house, you know. And I you know, they took him in when he had nothing. She was the reason he was inducted into the Brotherhood. How fucking dare you talk to her?
Well, you know, his whole thing is like, they're my kids. That's it. They're my kids, and nobody else has any say. So fuck you all. You know, like, okay, bastard, you are not the only parent. You know,
I don't like him.
I know. I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm still mad at him. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care.
If we can vote his ass off the island, I say he got to go.
As far as I'm concerned, he needs to serve a rift to everybody in the fucking house.
I know. He needs it.
So, what do you think when Kor says, "Oh, you know what? This question doesn't apply because besides it was the wrong person anyway." So.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was a question. Okay. We were talking about Tor saying that that rat's ring didn't matter, but I misinterpreted what I was reading, and so I'm ignoring that question. So, so Tor and Quinn's deal was just sickening. What do you think of their treasonous plot?
I mean, I don't know what to say. Both of them are just dumbasses. And like, I just shaking my head, like, enough. And I think that snowstorm that ended up, because we know why that snowstorm came by. I don't know how far I should speak up ahead, but that snowstorm was the reason why they ended up stopping what they were doing to go and go help Lay and his family. And it was like almost like the stars were like, enough, assholes, like, don't stop doing
or
that.
laughing
or laughing.
But
I didn't know if we wanted to go there yet, but
I mean, we kind of ended like in this scene.
Yeah, I mean,
it's okay. Yeah, but I just don't know. I feel like Tor was reacting because he was already pissed about being denied. And we didn't talk about how he was about to let Raph just walk out without even trying to stop him. Like, Tor was being a dick.
Right.
And, you know, like Autumn said, like, he let it go. Why the fuck can't you? Was that Autumn that told him that?
No, it wasn't Autumn.
Who was it? I can't remember. Somebody said he let it go. Why the fuck can't you? Can't remember. But anyway, he was told that. And that's kind of what it was. Huh?
I thought that was later. I thought that was Layla said that.
It is later. But my point is, he can't, like, he was just reacting on some old crazy shit. Quinn, on the other hand, I really feel like he had these feelings that he was acting out on, and it was really that he felt that he owned Layla. I think he feels like, you know, just like the baby the babies, he feels like they're his possession more than they're his children. I think he felt the same way about Layla. So they acted, I don't even know if it's out of character, but they certainly acted like dickheads. Like that was so, on a lot of levels, you've been given a direct order not to do this, and you went out and got ready to do it anyway. What the fuck were you gonna do if you would have succeeded? Like, I don't know what you were gonna do. And then Tor was like, Quinn was flabbergasted. Like, what do you mean out of the? I'm like, how could you not be kicked out? Like, I don't know why you're surprised about Tor being kicked out, and your ass should have been kicked out too. You know?
He didn't own it. He didn't go to Wrath and say, "Oh no, it's my fault."
No.
So, I mean, yeah, that was shitty. I just, Quinn is just, I feel like it's like he wanted to have these babies because he wanted to own something. Like, I know that, you know what I mean? I just feel like he's just an ass. I don't even.
Yeah, he treats them like possession.
I mean, thank God for Blade, because Blade does ground him a little bit. So, but.
I don't know.
I feel like
I love Blade.
He didn't want Layla to have a life. You're the mother of my children. That's it. You don't get to have a life.
You're the nanny. And you
stay here. I also feel like he was kind of like, and I don't know, I thought we had a question about that too, that he kind of treated Layla like she was just supposed to kind of lay there and wait for him until he got ready to have another kid. Like, what the fuck were you expecting from her? Like, what did you expect her to do? Yes, you had kids with her, but you've gone on with your life. And what are you going to do? Medicate her? And because he's like, oh, she got postpartum depression. We can just give her some pills and she'll just be waiting for me. Like, I feel like he thought that this was his property. And I know that he took a lot of responsibility for Layla, but I think he had some displaced feelings for her as a result of her being the mother of his children. And that he crossed that line. He reacted almost about Layla like a bonded male would if his Shellen had slept with someone.
Yeah, like that was she cheated on him. Yeah, like she cheated on him.
He was like, he was like, oh, he committed treason. How could you fall in love with him? I don't know for sure that Quinn would have ever like let her live a full life if it hadn't blown up the way it did. Because he was just behaving like, she was his property.
Yeah. So what do you think of Quinn? I mean, was Quinn being petty when he wouldn't look at his daughter? I mean, obviously, yeah.
Well, not only that.
Oh, it was disgusting.
He dressed
That's
what
I was just going to say. He dressed her like a boy. He didn't want her to wear those girl clothes that Layla loves to put her in. Like, he wouldn't look at her. He wouldn't even fucking look at her. Like,
and it was almost neglectful because he gave her like a shorter bath. He kind of just washed her up. Like he was favoring Ramp. And I don't know. I feel like he was the one, like Rad said, you the one that I'm questioning right now. And I question him too because he was incapable of making sound decisions. And if Blade hadn't have called him on it, what would he have done?
Right. Because he was acting like really, really, really like, if this would have kept going, how would Lyric be treated? How would she be raised by him? Would he continuously treat her like the child called it? I took child.
Well, I don't know why. I don't know how though, because he was the child. He was but
don't you like sometimes it cycles, right? So maybe that's why he's doing that, and he felt like her looking like her mother became the defect for him, and he was acting like his daddy.
Yeah, he was definitely acting like his father. I don't know. I didn't love any of this. I was over it.
So Quinn had a lot of shitty moments in this book. What was your worst Quinn moment of the book?
Let me think. Go ahead, Sage. I'm gonna think on it for a minute.
I mean, it has to be the gun going off in the room for me. There's a lot of shitty things. He said a lot of shitty things. Treating Lyric like shit was horrible. But the worst thing for me is the gun in the room, I think.
For me, it was him using his children as a tool to get close to Blay. He said that's not what it was, but You chose the exact moment when Blay was mad at you, hoping he was there to take your kids out in a motherfucking snowstorm, a blizzard that y'all couldn't even fight in. You took them over there and used them to get close to Blay, and immediately pawned him off on Lyric, who had a broken foot.
She was cooking for them. Yeah.
I can't. Quinn, do better, baby. I want to love him, but Quinn. So yeah, that was my worst moment.
I'm so mad at him. Okay, so it's worst for me. You know, they all were so bad. I mean, I don't know if I could say one was worse. I just, they were all the worst. I mean, I definitely using the babies as a pawn is disgusting. But I don't know, I feel like overall, like as far as like, because I think it meant more is when he was trying to kill Kor, because not only is he defying the king, he's doing the exact, actually a worse thing than Layla did, you know. And I don't know, I just I can't even go there with the children.
I mean, like you commit an act of treason, but so are you. Exactly. Like you commit an act of treason.
Because at the end, that's what he was doing. Yeah.
Yeah. He's no room to talk.
Mm-hmm. And she didn't know. First of all, she didn't even fucking know. If y'all wouldn't have lied to her about who Thro was, we wouldn't be in this fucking situation with y'all dumbasses. And don't nobody want to talk about that.
Well, the real culprit of this whole story is Fury.
Fury, fucking grandpa. Listen,
you know what? 100%. Because had he not lied that moment she was feeding Thro, this would none of this.
It wasn't his idea to do it.
Yeah, Fury, but he told her, oh, you know, but
he did.
Tell her, and
it wasn't his idea. But I feel like they shouldn't have put these. You got to stop putting these chicks up on these pedestals like they can't handle the truth, because Layla do whatever the fuck she wanted to do. She was out there looking at that man water pissing his semen all over the fucking bathroom. Didn't nobody know. She was looking at that boy for months, honey. And she was sneaking out. Didn't nobody know, child. I think they need to get him more credit. Stop playing with these girls, because they know what they want. You treating Bella. Bella was in there practically sexually assaulted Quinn. I mean, not Quinn, Lord have mercy. Zeta. When he, you know what I mean? He like,
she was like, just let me touch it. Let me touch it.
Please. Women are capable of great things. You can tell them this is the enemy. You just got to feed them one quick time so we can get this information. Layla probably would have liked it. She'd have been like, I am in on a mission. Yes. You know, like she needed something at that moment. Stop treating these women like this. Fury. God damn it. Get those girls out there camp.
I love that I love that she told Raph, like she like denounced being chosen. She's like, no, call me Layla.
Call me Layla.
I am not a chosen. I am not part of that group anymore. I have a name.
And I'm only giving my blood. Oh my God. Did y'all look? Okay, I think we on the secondary characters, but before we
go. No, not yet. We're not.
Oh, okay. But can you talk about how the bastards rebuked her blood? Okay,
that was like, yes.
I was like, oh my God.
Oh, I can't know what you taste like, baby. I cannot know what your blood tastes like.
Yeah, that was very sweet. That's so honorable, you know.
Yeah.
So, they all, and that was another thing, is like, because there was a thing where Kor had handpicked all of the fighters. I want that story. I want to know why he picked them. Maybe there were specific reasons, and maybe he wasn't even aware of it at the time. But it would be nice to even have him have a flashback story where he's telling it from the future and saying, "Oh, this is why I chose him. This is, it just, yeah, you know, I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Anything the warden has about the bastards, I'll take it. I don't give a fuck what it is. It could be.
We do need a
what
lot
they eat
more
for breakfast, honey. I'm all in it.
Yeah, we touched a little bit about what was really bothering Quinn, which I think we already covered that, because we talked about how that he thought that he was just being a jealous ass, you know, and that he wanted Layla to be this sweet little conforming Mammon and not have her have a real fucking life. So, but is there something else you want to add to that?
No, girl, that was pretty much it.
Okay. So, what do you think of Cora's transformation? I just think.
Oh, I love it. I love to see it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, say it.
Oh
Keep
no.
going. I've
No,
been
I agree.
talking
I
nice.
love it too. I mean, I love it too. I love that even though we like saw him as a monster in the beginning, but we all the way through we would see these little glimpses of kindness in him, and almost like that internal battle that he had of how he's supposed to be, because he's supposed to be this bloodletter son, so he's supposed to be this evil, you're not evil, but mean and tough and no feeling and no, none of those things, and he couldn't help the feelings that he would have for his warriors and even like other warriors in fighting. Like he had this respect for others, like even when they're supposed to be his enemy, like Tor, and by saving him, I feel like I loved watching all of that, and then seeing that him fall in love with Layla, and it almost making him whole again. It was just a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed watching him become who he was, but I think for me, when he was like staring down in that toaster trying to make sure that bread didn't burn, and making her tea, and trying to make sure she was okay, and then when he confessed to her essentially that everything that he became, because he wanted, he was so deprived of a father figure growing up, or somebody to love him, that he had no idea of who he'd become. Everything he become was trying to emulate the bloodletter and trying to be, the son that the bloodletter would have wanted. And I think that is, ultimately where all his problems started. Like, he had such a bad start. It's all Harm's fault. So to come from that to being a person who would still like make sure her toast wasn't burned and, make sure that she ate, like he insisted. And Layla sitting at that table being as thirsty as she always was, like, yeah, fucking ate, come and give me that dick. I adored it. So I really enjoyed those quiet moments with him and Layla. It truly revealed his character.
And I like that he cooked for her. He's like, I'm not much of a chef, but but he still could cook. Like, he still took care of her, and that and one of the things we're like, he just where he kind of has his epiphany moment where he's like, now I'm the male that I used to be, that I was supposed to be, which was kind. He's like a teddy bear, He's like, he's very sweet, and I mean, obviously he's a badass too, but he's just, he's like he's really a caretaker. He's not, this evil person that he was trying to live up to. Yeah, like he was trying to live up to the bloodletters, legacy, and that's not even who he is. So why was he doing it?
Right.
So Layla rips Tor a new asshole in this book. So what did you think of that? And I love how she came into her own. She realized, yeah, this is who I am. Fuck you.
Yeah, he earned a bit of that. He deserved it too. Yeah. And I think he needed that moment too, where, somebody held the mirror up to him and like, look at who you've become. Like, what are you doing? And, you wouldn't even get anything out of this, because the honor that it was Layla, the honor that you're trying to, restore, the king has already given it. Like, he kissed his ring. And that's when Tora was like, I don't give a fuck. We were like, wow. So, I think she needed to do it. I think she was the only one that could have done it, because she saw, who he really was. And she had that piece of information that she finally let slip out. Jesus Christ, that, this is your brother too. So I think she needed to do it. And it gave me life, honey. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. He needed to hear it. He needed someone to challenge him, because I feel like Autumn doesn't challenge him at all, right? And he needed someone to go back the fuck up and really look at what you're doing, look at your thought process, look how you're acting, and what part of that is the honor that your woman that you claimed that you adored, and she was your Shellen and you loved her. What kind of honor are you just like doing? What kind of, that doesn't make any sense. What are like what are you what are you leaving behind for her? Like, would she be proud of you for the way you're acting? And
you're talking about Wellesley, right?
Right. Yeah. He threw that in his face, and he needed to hear that, because Wellesley, because think about it, Wellesley used to be tough, and she'd get in that ass if he was doing something that she didn't like. And he hadn't had that I think for a while, not until
oh yeah, she would never have stood for that. Absolutely not.
Oh yeah, she would have ripped him one for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if Blay hadn't gotten into the accident, do you think that he and Quinn would have found their way back to each other?
Mm-mm. Well, not so soon. Blay was set to be mad. He was sitting in it, and he was like, fuck it, I'll just be over here smoking. I'm going to smoke these Dunhills, and I'm finna say, fuck this man. And as long as I don't see him, I'm good. So I think he was going to have to see him in the field eventually, but I certainly think it would have taken longer if he hadn't gotten into the accident. I know it burned his fucking biscuits to have to call that man. I know he was like, son of a bitch, but I think it would have taken like a lot longer. We probably would have needed 2 books to deal with how angry Blay was.
Wait, I agree. I mean, they definitely would have found their way back to each other, but it would have taken a long time, because he was like, fuck you. I'm going to show you how important I am to you.
So what do you think about the ultimatum he gave to Quinn, though? Because he says to him, he comes to see him and he's like, you got to make this right with Layla or you will never get me back. I mean, I think he played this card right. I was glad he said that. So
I think Quinn needed that. He was being ridiculous. Mm-hmm. He was just being ridiculous. Like, you don't own that girl. And, if whatever the king says goes. And if she is, all right with the king and they got like visitation, you're going to have to fix whatever you did to her. And, I appreciated Blake for doing that, because he didn't have to. He could have just been like, whatever, and I'm going to stay out of it. So I did like to see that.
No, because he was like, you're breaking up our family. So,
And I'm not going to be with you the way you look at that little girl, too. You're treating her like shit because she looks like her mom. I'm not going to allow that. There's no way I can sit back and watch you do that. So those were,
Yeah. There was a question after this that said, did Quinn ever feel bad about lying to Blay several times? I don't remember when he lied to him, so maybe.
Oh my God.
He lied to him
times. Yeah. Like when he went downtown, Blay was like, where you been? And he was like, oh, I was fighting. Like he lied to him again.
He lied to him like simple lies. Like even when he went to go talk to Jane about
he started
he was like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to her about my shoulder. But he really went down to talk to her about postpartum.
He's just a fucking liar. Yeah, I don't know what was going on.
He lied to Blay about talking to Jane about the postpartum. I don't get that lie. That was stupid. There was no reason.
Like, why didn't he just tell him?
Yeah, what was it?
But he purposefully went out of there with that lie. Like he was like, oh, I'm just gonna do this. He went behind Layla's back. Mm-hmm. And like I don't understand why you were lying so much, Quinn. I don't know. And I don't feel like he felt bad about it. He never told like Blay, like, and by the way, I lied about this, that, and the other thing. Like, I mean, maybe it was a non-issue, but it just felt like a betrayal. Mm-hmm.
So why did Layla take so long to tell the truth about who Cor's father was? We kind of talked about that. I don't know either. I think part of it is that she didn't want to expose herself too early, and then eventually it was like, well, I got to say, because
Yeah.
she said that to Tor, you know, when she ripped him a new asshole. It was the last thing she said to him, and it was like a bomb dropping.
Right.
think
But
she didn't want to. She didn't want to give away. Didn't like because she knew she didn't. I think she didn't know for sure if he didn't know, but she didn't want to tell anyone else before she told him. And then when he didn't want to know, she just kind of held on to that secret until she was like, "I got to save him. This is the only way." I think that's kind of how it went.
Well, it was the way
about Core, because she told
yeah.
Tor before she told Core, because Core didn't want to know.
Right, but because I think she didn't want to say anything until she told Core, but
Okay.
Core didn't want to know, and then
I see.
she said she told Tor to save his ass, to save Core's ass.
Let's just say torment, because Core and Tor.
Oh my God! You should have known they were fucking brothers.
Yeah,
you should have known months ago.
Well, you know, he was still going on and on and on in that conversation, and still being like, "You don't, you're talking about da 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 da." And then Layla's like, she'd had it. She's like, okay, I gotta shut this motherfucker up. So
yeah, I think anger brought it out, but but you know, I just was like, you know, you could have listened to Lassiter when he said, you know what you gotta say, you know what you gotta tell, you know, go tell it. And I think, you know, even if Core didn't want to hear it, you could have told the king, you could have told V, you could have told, you know, like, she could have told people, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So why
I think she probably didn't, because she didn't want to, you know, betray her relationship with Core. But I think it would have saved us a little bit of time if she would just told it.
So why do you think the Core kept covering for Torment and Quinn? I mean, I think it's because he didn't want to, you know, he's about peace, and he wanted to make sure that was, because I mean, Rathamy was lying, you know, when he said, "Who shot you?" You know, and he's like, "No one, it was a lesser," you know, and you know, I think he did it because I think it was honor. I think he was being honorable, actually. So, and I think Wrath respected that. So,
yeah, you go first, Sage.
Yeah.
Well, I said it earlier when we were talking. To me, it was about honor, and I was thinking that he's the type of person that's just kind of like, snitches get stitches. We don't talk about these kind of things. Yeah. I'm not going to be the one to say anything, and I think that's kind of the way he looks at it. And he wanted this piece for his bastard, so he, you know, wanted to seal it up and, you know, just keep going.
Yeah, I think he didn't want to make it hard for Layla to be in the family unit with Quinn. I think, you know, it was probably, you know, he didn't want to snitch, but I think he also felt really bad about feeling like he was the cause of the rift in her family. Because he had mentioned it, that he made things so hard for her already. So, you know, to say, you know, no matter what happened, I think he felt like, I already, you know, like, if something happens to me, I want her to be able to have a relationship with this man and her kids, because he's the father of her children. So I feel like it was a little bit of that too.
But I think that too, but I think that he also, it was like, he's trying to broker peace. And if he, you know, puts a divide in the brotherhood, it's not good for any of them. So I think he understood that.
But he knew Wrath could tell he was lying. Like, he already knew Wrath knew when he was lying, right? Because earlier in the book, he was like, "Oh, he must be able to tell when I'm telling a lie." And so he already knew that. I think he was lying for Layla, because, you know, Wrath know. You know, it wasn't like at that point in time he didn't know. So he was still lying for Layla, to try and make sure that she could salvage her family, whatever happened.
Right. So the warehouse scene battle is epic. Which was better, the Brownswick school for girls or the warehouse scene? For me, I have to say the warehouse scene, just because you had both sides coming together and helping each other. So
I think I like the warehouse scene. I think mostly though, I like when Lassiter was so exhausted after all the shit was over. He's like, I had to do it. And then he bursts into like a million stars. I'm like, you dramatic as fuck. We should drink vodka together. But yeah, I like Lassiter. I like all the things that he had to do to get it together. So yeah, it was definitely epic.
I don't know. I think each one had their own awesome like moments. Like when Rage almost ate Estelle like 3 times.
Oh my god!
You know, it was like
that was not awesome for me.
I mean, I giggled, but you know, so it had some fun moments. But I think, yeah, this last battle was more epic because you know how when we watch like those superhero movies where they all come together, it's like all the superheroes are together. That's kind of the feeling I got reading that scene. So like it was yeah.
So Quinn got helped out in this book in the warehouse scene by a bastard he described as like a, you know, this huge male. Like, who do you think that he was talking about?
It had to be Zephyr, right? I mean, it could have been Balthazar, but I just got a feeling that it was Zephyr because, you know, I don't know. He always seems to be willing to stick his neck out for others, you know, and I don't get that a lot for the other guys sometimes because Sin seems a little bit like he's like, whatever, I'm gonna just, you know, kind of as long as Core's okay, I'm okay. So I feel like it was Zephyr. I don't know.
So yeah,
I agree that it's not Sin. And then because yeah, it just totally doesn't seem like it's part of his personality.
Right.
And then but I can't tell you if I think it's either Balthazar or Zephyr. I think it's it's one of them. I don't know for sure. Like I can't.
Or Siphon. We never hear about Siphon. So Siphon's.
I forget about it.
I always forget about Siphon.
Siphon is the one that pulled the trigger. You know, he was the trigger man when they. But I'm kind of curious about how his story is going to be because he's going to have probably the most guilt, I would think, or remorse about pulling the trigger and shooting Wrath on next. So I'm kind of curious how that's going to play out, if that's ever going to be an issue for him. So
I don't know. Would it be because he kind of like
things are forgiven, but I kind of feel like I don't know that you think that'd have some kind of play there. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. But
well, because of the way the dynamic is, their loyalty is still to Core.
Right.
It's not to Wrath. So I mean, it is to Wrath because of Core.
Indirectly, yes.
Indirectly, yeah. So it's that dotted line. You know what I mean? So like, I don't think it'll play that much because at the time he was the enemy, you know, and now he's not. And I think, and that's how he's going to justify it to himself.
But I'm wondering,
most warriors would justify it like that, you know.
But I'm wondering if they'll eventually take the oath to Wrath. I just wondered, you know, if that'll ever happen.
Well, we shall see.
Maybe if Corey were to die, God forbid, but I think they are beholden to, you know, Core. I don't know if they would ever.
I don't know, but Wrath's the reason they're still alive, so there's that. But
they make it really.
I digest. So anyway, at the end, when they're all injured and they're all taken to the training center, Layla offers her vein to the bastards and they all refuse. So that was sweet. So what'd you think of that?
Well, we talked about it a little while ago. Yeah.
No,
that was before we were talking about it.
No, just a few minutes ago.
No, it was right now.
Okay, moving on.
That was not bad, though. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let's switch gears to Trez. Aww.
Poor Trez.
So Trez is in his club and he's praying, you know, please, you know, end this pain or whatever he's saying. I can't remember exactly what his words were. Do you think that Lassiter answered his prayer?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Like he was standing there talking to him.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He thought he saw him, right?
He
thought he saw him.
Mm-hmm.
No, he said, "Come have dinner with me."
Yeah.
Remember he was trying to make Yeah, he was trying to. That was you talking about the migraine scene when he woke up and he had on a Nirvana Detroit t-shirt. Like these fucking Easter eggs. I'm like,
he's in the club. He asked him to come to the.
Yeah. She talking about, but the time he thought he saw him was when he woke up.
I've mixed the scenes up in my head.
So, what do you guys think of Therese?
She cool. I kind of like her. I had to get past that whole feeling like, oh, well, I still wish I was Selena. But yeah, she cool. I like her strength. And I admire the way she carries herself. Like she's very respectful. And I like the kiss. Like they were really good together. So I enjoyed it. It was good.
I did too. Like when they went out to the diner and, she had like absolutely no filter. Fucking loved it. It was like, oops, did I just say that out loud?
Right. Oh my God.
Very real. Yeah, she's very real. And Selena was like that. Selena would just tell you whatever's up. She would. You remember? Because she was dying and she's like, I'm just going to tell you how I feel. Fuck it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same kind of parallel between those two characters. I mean, they're the same person, but you know what I mean? So Lassiter was awesome for handling Selena and the Therese thing. If the Scribe Virgin would have intervened, do you think it would have turned out as well?
No.
You know how it turns out.
She always fucks shit up. So no.
Well, no, you know what? If she would have done something and she, because she's not like they would have had to sacrifice something or some crazy shit like that. I do like Lassiter's way of handling things because you really don't have to, like all you have to do for Lassiter is kind of like need something and be deserving. And whereas she was like, oh well, you get to have Jane, but she's a ghost, and you get to, there's always
or like what she did with Darius. Like you can come back and basically,
and I get what she's doing, but sometimes people just deserve a win. And I think Lassiter is that person who's like, you just need a win right now. Yeah, so I do like the way he handled it better. I think that
he's more in touch with emotions, where I think the Scribe Virgin is not. I mean, she can see when somebody's really suffering, but I think because she feels everything, I think that she just turns it off. And where Lassiter's like, he lets it stay there. So he's more empathetic, I think. And
I think it's because Lassiter actually lives around humans, or not humans, but the race, right? So like he is around them, and he's is experiencing these emotions where she might feel our prayer, like their prayers or their thoughts or whatever. But I think because she's like a goddess, full on goddess, she has no actual. I don't think she understands the some of those emotions. She lacked it. Yeah.
There's too much of a distance between her and she. Where Lassiter's more like, these are my friends, these are my family, so I'm going to take care of them.
Right.
So, but then at the same time, I kind of think like, well, that's kind of not fair to the rest of the species.
Well,
he's taking care of all of them, right? Didn't he say that when he was like laying out with Layla? Like, this is so hard. There's so many people.
Right. I think Lassiter is an overachiever right now too. Like, I think right now he's like trying to fix everything, and because he's new and he first on the job and he's like super ambitious, you know how you get a job and you're like, "Ooh, Jay, what is the best job ever?" And then like 5 years later, you're like, "Yeah, it's all right. It's a fucking job." I think that's what Lassiter going through right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and he does consider them his family, and like he said, like he's like, I don't live on the other side because he let Layla, use the chamber,
the bedroom, the sanctuary room,
and he's like, I don't live here. I don't know. That might change at some point, but he's like,
I don't think he could stay up there with all that shit. Like he need a lot.
not by himself. He's too much of a people person. He could never.
Yeah, he's gonna
live
be in the
on his own.
sanctuary.
But we do have.
Unless he let people come up there. Unless he get a boo.
Yeah, well, you know.
Anyway.
I think
We don't want him to get a boo because the warden said if his story would be the last story, so that means it would end. So we can wait on his story if like the last.
I don't know. I mean, the way she gets her stories, I don't even know if she can say what's the last. You know what I mean? Because she gets her stories like.
No, I think I saw an interview or something that said his story would be the last.
But
what I heard. Now maybe you heard something else that I did. Maybe you saw something else.
I didn't. I'm speculating.
The world has to be more stable when she does that. So
yeah, I just feel like it's more of an organic thing, based on what she said. She said, you know.
Right.
I kind of just receive them and write them down. So
we have to talk about Fro. I know. We don't want to talk about him in that icky book.
Do we really though? Does it really matter?
I want to know why y'all more grossed out by the book than y'all are Fro.
That okay, so the Fro is always trying to get back into the Chimera. And he has to whore himself out to do that. But ironically, the Band of Bastards were welcomed into the mansion that is like the ultimate lap of luxury. So I just thought, like, how ironic that, you know, he because he's an idiot, he missed out on everything. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not everything, but you know what I mean? It's almost like everything. So
yeah, but I don't know. I don't think he would have been satisfied with that.
That's what I was just gonna say.
True. You're right.
His ambitions are too high.
Yeah.
He would have still like been in there trying to figure out how to overthrow some shit. You know, Fritz would have whooped his ass, but I feel like Fritz is like probably like the most feared in the whole goddamn house. But yeah, he would have been trying to overthrow some shit. Yeah, he would have never.
He would raps like I'm not messing with that male.
Nobody want to mess with Fritz. He is so Fritz badass, and he can cook
and drive.
He's awesome.
More interested in the cooking part.
Do you think this book? So he picks up this book. Do you think that he was more susceptible to the effects of it because he was like downtrodden?
I think he was more susceptible to it because of his greed.
Mm-hmm.
I think greed blinds you, and money is the root of all evil. Just like, you know, he wants power, and you know, the more power he wanted, the more he would do to get it. So, you know, I think he would have done anything. He went in there and he was obviously freaked out by all that stuff that was happening in the psychic parlor. But he still took that book. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. He made himself like he would have done anything for power.
And he did. You know what I mean? He was already at that point where he was doing all kinds of shit to get there. So
all kinds of freaky deaky shit.
Yeah.
With that girl in the house.
Right. And you know, even before that with the other one in the other book, you know, I can't, what was her name? Nasha?
Not Nasha.
Nasha. He was just, you know, he's desperate. He was desperate for power, for everything. Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
Yep. I mean, he had nothing. Right. He had nobody. So, so last but not least, V spent an enormous amount of energy in this book, kind of whining about his Shellen and their lack of connection. So, why the fuck didn't he just talk about her instead of sulking? Talk to her instead of sulking. Like, what the fuck is his problem?
V don't talk. He kind of snipes. Mm-hmm. He has quips and jabs, but he don't talk. Like we know that about V, and we love V, but he doesn't talk well. He doesn't know how to communicate his feelings. The only reason Butch knew half the shit he knew about how V felt about him is because he'd get drunk and tell him, like, you know, I love you, you know, drunk and shit.
Yeah.
So I think that was V's, that's V's problem. He doesn't know how to communicate emotion. And that's probably a couple things, like being raised by the bloodletter. And his mother isn't exactly a conscious communicator either. So I think it's hereditary.
Or a nurturer.
Or a nurturer. So he's doing the best he can. I don't think he know how to tell. I don't think he know how to say, I need you.
And I
He
think
don't know how to say.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for cutting you off.
It's fine.
I agree with that, and I also believe that he wanted Jane to want to look for him. He wanted Jane to come and say, "Hey, honey, I miss you." You know, like he wanted her to come for him, and so I think because like in that scene when he was walking out of the hospital, he's like, "Watch, she's not even gonna notice that I left. She's not even." And so that was why he was sulking, because Jane does have some faults. She gets so involved in her job that she forgets that she forgets him, you know, and it's either he goes down there and, you know, is helping her with her job, or they don't really get to spend any quality time. And I think it's because of like the ghosting too. She doesn't really get that tired as fast as others, so she just keeps going and going and going until she does need to recharge. Then it's too late because she's so goddamn tired. She just needs to sleep.
Yeah, and I think.
But if you had V at home, when you be like, I'll be back.
I'd be running. No, I'd be like, I'll be right back.
I see y'all in a couple hours. I'm going to see my boo, like other people do.
I got to climb like a mountain.
Like a mountain.
Like a mountain. I feel like, though, there was a scene where he wakes up from his surgery after the big battle, and she's in there, and she's been in there for like 2 hours waiting for him to wake up, and then he kind of shuffles her out, like where he had an opportunity to say, no, can you stay? Because she asked him, she pretty much was like, hey, you know, she was there for him at that point, but then he kind of like shuffled her out. You know, I mean, I feel like he in a way kind of pushed her out too. He was like, yeah, you gotta go. But he could have been like, but she was like kind of torn. Like I thought, you know, I kind of saw her as being kind of torn between her having to check on his other patients that Manny could have done.
But that's not what she left for. She left to go get him something. I can't remember what it was. And then she didn't come back. And
she forgot to come back.
No, she sent Rev's wife.
Manny. Oh, no,
Elena. She sent Elena.
Me? You're talking about me? Rev's wife?
She sent Eliza in. She sent Eliza in.
I remember
to give him whatever.
Like, girl, can you take that to B? And I ran it in.
I don't know. I think that they were. I don't know. I guess maybe I interpreted it wrong, but I thought that Elena was like, "Oh, I'll go get her," because she kind of realized that he wanted Jane or something like that. I don't know, but I feel like he's.
My thoughts were, when she was in the room, she was distracted. I can't remember if she went and got him something or not. I'm just gonna be honest, but I remember him being like he was waiting for her, and she never came back. And then he came out and she saw him and she was like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, and then he walked away and he looked back to see if she was looking at him and she wasn't like paying attention at all. And he was like, she ain't gonna notice anyway. You know what I mean? So I think we all got the same perception of that scene. It felt, I didn't feel like V pushed her away. I felt like she just, you know, V was an afterthought, because I think she's so used to V being okay that she forgets to check on him.
Yeah, I feel like he needed to say something though. I mean, I know it's not his way, but it's like he has to be forced to say things. Like, you know, I mean, he has to get like to a point where like he's confronted with it before he'll say anything. But it's like, come on, dude, you know, like talk to yourself.
Well, I mean, we are.
I mean, I know it's not his way, but that's your mate. You know what I mean?
We are our experiences, right? And a lot of times when we've been hurt before, and V has some traumatic shit in his past,
right?
it's not easy for him to say I need help. And I don't know if V ever knows how to say I need help. Like, he's always the fixer. So I don't think he's ever exhibited like help me. Like, he's never, like, at least I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's just, you know, doing the best he can with what he has. And I think Jane takes for granted that he just gonna be there.
Yeah.
Because he okay. They both wrong, because you should know, you kind of have to be a little bit intuitive about others and say, you know, maybe I should check in on them. V should say, maybe I should check in on Jane. Like, why is Jane always gone when everybody else isn't? Like,
I mean, I think in this situation, they're both at fault, for sure.
Yeah.
Both. I think they're both so similar, you know, that they sometimes, you know, they miss each other because of their, I mean, they're like this, they miss each other. So, because they're similar.
Yeah, I don't know. I could tell he was a little bit, like, he was a little jealous of the way Layla was gonna take that bullet for Core. Like, she laid flat out across him. And you know, I think in that moment he was kind of wondering, like, would Jane do that for me? You know, and you know,
he just felt, I think he felt neglected. Like, can he even mention, like, Butch and Marissa were always banking in the next room, and he's out by himself, you know? So his other love is with somebody else, and he's just by himself. And I think his other boo, right? And I think, you know, like, AJ was like, you're saying, you know, he should have said something, but it's not his way, and V is prideful. So to say, you know, why would you come check on me? It's not him. He won't do that. It's just too prideful to even say he has feelings. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's sad.
Yeah, and he never had to, right? Because them girls are like, the girls are in his emails even now. Like, how dare you? I demand, you know, and he don't know any other way. You know, like, he just don't. And he ain't been in a lot of relationships. Like, he don't know that communicative side. To be fair, neither does Jane.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're very similar in that they're very brainiac, and so they don't always see emotions the way that, you know, that I think that they both take each other for granted. So
right.
Yep. So, well, that wraps up our discussion of The Chosen. So next time we'll be doing Blood Fury. Peyton Fury. Peyton, Pepe. Blood Peyton, I don't know. He kind of grows on you.
I like Pepe.
I like Pepe. So we have to see how that unfolds. So till next time. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.